Okay, so republic.us. You got issues. Let's say, for instance, does everybody know? Unless I play a video, here, come back to me real quick. Let me point at the camera. All right. This is what republic.us is all about. Republic.us. Unless I play this video, and we've got a small audience because I don't get $400,000 a month from Russians, okay, to grow our audience into the millions. That's the difference, by the way, between Dave Rubin and Pete Santilli, is he's got hundreds of thousands of dollars pumping in his operation. They're growing into the millions. I don't have that. So when I play this video, I share it with a relatively small audience, although our audience is getting huge. But everybody needs to know about the issues that are going on with these Haitians. There's something happening with Haitians, all right? So that's what republic.us/Santilli, of course, is all about, is that we get to put these issues out there, put videos, rally when we go to the city council. This local community, we should have the ability to engage and get back there to Springfield and say, stop the madness.
Thank you.
I live at 426 Northwestern Avenue. Miss Skinner, who I'm not trying to put on the spot, is my neighbor.
Just talk to me, ma'am. Thank you so much.
And I'm done with what I'm seeing. It is so unsafe in my neighborhood anymore. I have the homeless that were trying to camp out, and I have made concessions with them, and I try to help them the best I can to keep them from trying to squat on my property. But it is so unsafe. I have men that cannot speak English in my front yard screaming at me, throwing mattresses in my front yard, throwing trash in my front yard. And I can't. Look at me. I weigh 95 pounds. I couldn't defend myself if I had to. My husband is elderly, and last night, after living in this home for 45 years, he said, Noelle, guess what? It's time to pack up and move. He said, we can't do this anymore. He said, it's killing both of us mentally. I don't understand what you expect of us as citizens. I mean, I understand they're here under temporary protected status, and you're protecting them, and I understand that our city services are overwhelmed and understaffed. But who's protecting us? If we're protecting them, who's protecting me? I want out of this town. I am sorry. Please give me a reason to stay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to play an excerpt of Tucker Carlson, all right? Here, let's go to that right now. Just an excerpt, and I want to promote TuckerCarlson.com as well.
Thank you very much. I feel like... It is, thank you. Thank you. It is a true joy to be here, I must say.
All right, I have to say just one brief thing. All right, Tucker Carlson, listen to the people in that stadium. All right, when he brings people forth like Tulsi Gabbard and RFK Jr., that's the definition of influence. That's pushing very influentially people like RFK Jr. Some of the stuff that, you know, he comes with a bag of, he wants to grab guns. That just is one example. So we have to be able to separate this out. Not necessarily criticizing Tucker, but just highlighting the fact, when I talk about it, it's not as influential as Tucker Carlson filling stadiums and broadcasting it to millions of people. But listen what he says. Great speech here.
As a native Californian, it's hard to believe I'm here.
Great speech about California going on here.
No, it's funny. I'm thrilled to be in the state of California, which I often make fun of and scold like an errant child, but I love. I'm the product of it, many generations of Californians, and I wound up running away and moving to as far from here as I possibly could. But every time I come back, literally, I move diagonally across the country. Next stop, Canada. But every time I come back, I know. Every time I come back, I think, oh, I can't believe I left here. It's just so great. And you get such a different sense being here and meeting people who actually still live here, who haven't run away, like terrified children like me. You really get the sense that there are so many great and normal people still in California. And the people who stayed, the actual Californians, people who were born in California, I mean, there's an intensity to them.
Sorry.
I mean, it really is like, I was thinking tonight, there's about 100 of them.
Hold on.
Some of my relatives are here, and it really is like talking to like Cuban refugees. Like, they know what the stakes are. They're not floating through life. Oh, I'm going to. Bless you. No, when I was a child growing up in La Jolla, I lived in San Francisco, I know, LA, and then La Jolla, and we would have entire afternoon conversations about the weather, and I never realized, I thought it was a little weird, but I didn't realize how totally deranged it was because our weather never changed at all. It went from like 76 and partly cloudy to 77 and sunny and then returned to the former. That was it. And that's all we talked about. And now when I come to the state, particularly to Orange County, people are just in fuego. Like they know what's up. And the people who've stayed here, a lot of them plan to stay here, period, and to make the state better. And
Now that's where I wanted to stop it. And Deb, if you can join me in this conversation.
Sure.
All right. So he makes a really good point about California. All right. But there's something we're missing here. And it's really, really, really big. All right. And this is where I say the GOP and those that are on the right side of the spectrum, all right, they should know better because they benefit from the technocracy, the technology that's being employed to build audiences, to persuade people, the technocracy. You'll never hear the dangers associated with the almost mind control and influence of the technocracy out of California. And we'll never speak of that. And, Tucker Carlson, all right, is very influential, right? And he's saying some stuff that, you know what, we can't all agree. First of all, he came from La Jolla. Nobody knows what that means. Do you know what that means?
Well, it means
When you go to the grocery store, you have somebody parking right next to you in a Bentley.
right.
Okay?
It's a very upscale.
The oldest money
Area.
in the country, okay, is in La Jolla. So his worldview, all right, that was formed all the way to the point to where he was at Fox News and started coming awake to stuff. He's had an entire life of all the wrong information coming into his brain, right? So he's going to make a lot of mistakes. He's going to bring Tulsi Gabbard to the podium. He's going to bring Robert F. Kennedy, Vivek Ramaswamy. Nobody talks about Vivek Ramaswamy having the patent for lipid nanoparticles. People are like, what does that mean? You know what that means? That means it is huge. Now, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. on the other side of the coin knows that the military developed this, that Roy Vant and Vivek Ramaswamy developed. He has the patent for lipid nanoparticles.
I know.
That President Trump rubber-stamped Moderna putting their label on a military-developed vaccine that had a lipid nanoparticle that was patented by Vivek Ramaswamy. You'll never hear any of this stuff right here. Okay? You'll never hear this. All right? So watch. I'm gonna fast forward to when he introduces Vivek Ramaswamy.
of evil. Whether the person creating the chaos knows it or not, that's irrelevant. Evil is happening in front of you, and it hurts people more than anything. Okay? People need order and predictability. Not fascism, okay? Order and predictability. It's not wrong to want that. It's essential to demand it. I heard people say, he's just too articulate. This can't be real. And there is a kind of bias against people who are almost like supernaturally fluent in a language. It's like, you're so silver tongue is the phrase they use. Like, that can't be real. You got to be selling me something if you're that fluent. I mean, I think everyone kind of feels that way. And I just want to say, for the record, which is why I asked him, begged him to come tonight, he is real. He's totally sincere. Maybe they don't want to think that someone that smart and that well-spoken is actually on the other side. This always used to happen to me. Like, liberals I knew would be, especially in the state, or relatives of mine in California, would be like, you don't really mean that. No, come on. Like, I really do. Well, he really means it. And so I'm honored to have him, ladies and gentlemen, Vivek Ramaswamy.
Wow. Love you guys. This is pretty cool. This is the real California here. I like this.
Oh, yeah.
This is the good kind.
Now, here's my point here. I'm going to play just a little bit more of it, and then we're going to go to a break. All right? So, how do we... I mean, there's no way we can have a perfect world of a whole bunch of perfect people that are perfect Christians, that are perfect and don't have their lipid nanoparticle patents. You know what I mean? Like, how do we navigate our way through this?
Saying, though, yeah.
How do we navigate our way through this? All right, like
It's
who's the
difficult.
perfect Christian? You know, Tucker Carlson did an event, and a brand new Christian said a prayer.
Yeah.
And it was Russell Brand. And it was a great prayer.
Who is also left-leaning and pretty socialist.
Left-leaning socialist, new ager, right? That will have his own interpretation of what Christianity is. And all of us do. So what do we do through this whole thing? What do we do through this whole thing? This is what we do. We highlight not what they are talking about, because they may get that wrong. They may get it all wrong. I mean, I'd rather have them speaking outwardly, you know, Vivek Ramaswamy or Robert F. Kennedy Jr., all speaking out openly about stuff, right? But what my main concern is right now about us on our side of the political spectrum is that we are wholly unprepared to deal with the other side's technocracy. What they're not talking about is my biggest concern. Now, what they are talking about, because we could sit here and criticize Vivek, we could criticize Tucker, we could criticize Russell Brand, we could criticize all of them because they're all wanting to be Christians and Christian conservatives, right? You know what I mean? They're all trying their absolute darndest, and some of them are going to fall on their face. They're not going to be like Vivek Ramaswamy's not going to be the perfect guy because he's got that barnacle of lipid nanoparticle patents on the side of his head, which is not a good thing, folks, especially as it relates to, it really isn't.
Yeah.
What they're not talking about is the discussion that we need to start having now because I think, and at this point, I think President Trump right now has got about, and the leftist pollsters are saying this.
Like 56 days left before.
56 days. We're at about almost a 70% chance that President Trump's going to win. Tomorrow will be that deciding factor.
In 1776, the founders of this nation gave us something that had never existed before: a government by the people. We've had our ups and downs, learned and grew, and bled for freedom. Over time, we, the people, became distracted by the success that our hard-fought freedoms brought us, and bad people saw an opportunity. As we traded our birthright for cheap entertainment, our rights, our voice, and our power has been whittled away. Until now. Introducing Republic, an entirely new kind of social media. Republic focuses on local, giving activists, organizations, candidates, and small businesses the power to inform, organize, and act, all in a single place, enabling you to be the local hero your community desperately needs. No more covering up the truth. No more advertising-funded news. No more data mining. This is how we rebuild, rekindle, and restore our republic.
My fellow American patriots, I'm Colonel Douglas McGregor. By now, we should all know that as a talk show host, Pete Santilli has been fighting to defend our constitutional republic for over 13 years. As a U.S. Marine whose oath never expires, he's now calling upon you to do your part, to inform your community and step up as an American hero to help save our republic from being overtaken by communism. Join today and save 33% off your membership. Join now. Visit republic.us/Santilli. That's republic.us/Santilli.